Hey there, Earthlings and interstellar creatures, and welcome to the Extraplanar radio show. Creature X here, preparing for transmission. For the uninitiated, you will be hosting an extraplanar entity for the duration of tonight's broadcast. So, please secure all belongings, clear your reception space of all non-receiving life forms, and finalize emergency and end-of-life plans. We here at the Extraplanar radio show do our very best to ensure all of our symbiotic attachments are completely safe and secure. Though, please be advised that disengaging from symbiosis before the transmission is complete may result in adverse side effects. Transmission ready, stand by for countdown, and remember, it's only fiction. I do not know how to start today's broadcast because I have something weighing very heavily on my mind. So, I will just start with our news segment. No transition either, just straight into it. The news is grave today. Frequent listeners of the Extraplanar radio show may have noticed my recent extended absence. I have been ill, absolutely sick to my stomach and overcome with grief. All because Jerry has stolen my most prized possession. You see, when I was just a young creature, I received a pet goldfish from Earth and named it Earth Goldfish. Earth Goldfish has been through quite a lot with me. It hasn't been easy on my own all these years, and having someone close by who doesn't judge, who doesn't have conditions for their love, who is so attentive, staring up at me with his wide, bulging eyes and ever-puckering mouth. Well, it's been invaluable. Earth Goldfish has been my only source of reprieve. He is truly my closest companion. And Jerry has gone and ruined that. So, Jerry, just know I am coming for you. That's probably what you've always wanted anyway. You've spent all this time poking at me, trying to get a rise out of me. Well, you've succeeded, buddy. I know you listen to this show like your life depends on it. And today it does. Wherever you go, wherever you hide, I will find you. And I will get Earth Goldfish back. And Florb help you if you lay one scaly little paw on Earth Goldfish's fins, your screams will echo through the universe until the end of all existence. I will make sure of it. For all of my listeners, I will need some time to find and destroy Jerry. So, I am announcing that in your year 2023 of the Common Era on Earth, the Extraplanar radio show will broadcast every 2 Earth weeks, rather than weekly. The next time you will hear from me will be on January the 20th. I'm sure you understand that I must have my revenge and ensure that Earth Goldfish comes home safe and sound. This has been the news. Today, we explore Earth's oceans. More specifically, that tiny, vibrant hotspot called the Challenger Deep, nestled within the infinite Mariana Trench. It's really not that remarkable in comparison to literally any other endless ocean trench in the universe, but you know what they say, comparison is the thief of joy. I spent my younger years exploring the Mariana. I had just left home and was not really sure what I wanted to do with my life yet. Sometimes you have an idea that your life will turn out one way and then other things happen instead. I was on a journey of sorts. Some might even go as far as to say I was backpacking across the universe. My interest in Earth and its oceans came about while I was staying at a starport hostel in the dark galaxy. My roommate had this amazing golden water creature. I was immediately enamored with it and asked where he found it. He said he had seen similar creatures in only one other part of the universe. A chilly little water planet running a human colony simulation in the Milky Way galaxy. A planet called Earth. While there, he pried the poor critter from the nearly fatal, clamping fangs of a massive, evil, aquatic creature. Something with many tentacles and deadly poison liquid that leached from its every limb when approached. A creature that could camouflage itself at will, ensnaring anything unwitting enough to wander into its lair, where it would then squeeze and crush its prey until their insides were liquefied. Then it would puncture and suck them out like a juice box. As I gazed upon his golden fish, I was not struck with the desire to rip its scales from its flesh and devour it whole. No, I immediately saw its beauty and wanted one for myself. My roommate and I had some heated disagreements over ownership of the golden fish, but eventually all parties came to realize that Earth goldfish belonged in my care. Thus began the many, many years of our beloved companionship. Over time, I became obsessed with finding more of these rare creatures and decided to make a stop at the Mariana Trench during those exploratory years of my youth. Earth was all the rage at the time. It was a popular destination for young creatures like myself from across the universe. This is primarily due to the fact that the original humans work hard to ensure their Earth human colony stays isolated from the relative interconnectedness of the rest of space society. While they do allow visitors and observers, discretion and stealth are required. There are no official rules that protect human colonies from intergalactic interference, but any who would dare to tamper with the integrity of the original humans as colonies surely would face unspeakable consequences. To be quite honest, I think we all like the idea of a handful of worlds being nearly completely unaware of the true nature of their reality. There's an innocence to it. And of course, it's also incredibly entertaining to hear some of the very creative theories colony humans come up with regarding their existence and about what lies in the cosmic expanse beyond their horizons. So entertaining, in fact, that human colony planets are some of the most traveled tourist spots in the universe. With all the travel on and off planet, a few slip-ups are to be expected. Some creatures were spotted or captured on film or recordings, and those of us with more ostentatious spacecraft made quite the scene when flying over populated areas to find our secret starports. I remember I forgot to turn off my front beams one evening and unfortunately ended up stirring quite the rumor pot when a few humans spotted me and photographed my ship. Luckily, they only caught the lights, but nonetheless, I have been a bit more cautious ever since. I think we all really don't want to ruin the humans' creative and exploratory nature. We collectively realize that if we just announce our presence openly to the earthly humans, then they might freak out or just lose a little bit of that curiosity for all the small things they like to study, and they would become suddenly disillusioned by the reality of space around them. So, a few of the popular destinations to visit are obviously the deep woods, the highest tops of lonely mountains, and of course, the vast blue ocean. Now, we all know that the ocean was designed by the original humans so that it would elude in-depth Earthling study for long enough that they could be properly observed from ocean laboratories. The unique design of Earth's ever-moving tectonic plates has made it so the original humans can make constant modifications to the ocean floor, and it largely goes undetected by the Earthlings. They even study it as just another part of their planet's mysterious nature. When I first landed in the populated area just below the Challenger Deep, I was greeted by a vast underwater city filled with deep-sea leviathans, bioluminescent earthling sea creatures, and transplants from other underwater societies across the galaxy and universe. My trip to the Trench City was cut short by some unforeseeable struggles. Primarily, there was rumored to be a group of rogue leviathans who were just trashing the place. For weeks prior to my arrival, they had gone around destroying and devouring anything that moved on the outskirts of the city. Eventually, I was enlisted with many other eager newcomers to help quell the rogue leviathan threat. You have to understand, I was very young and had not seen much of the universe at that time. I also was determined to find more goldfish, and I needed Earth to not be destroyed. So, of course, I was a prime candidate to be enlisted in a save the world kind of mission. Rest assured, I would not be so easily roped into such follies today. I understand the waste of time that can be. Destruction anywhere is as inevitable as the new life that will surely emerge from the wreckage. At the time, however, it was quite the tantalizing prospect that I might be able to stop these leviathans from causing any further damage. They seemed keen on consuming the entirety of Earth's oceans, which probably would have put a damper on the human colony simulation we had all grown so fond of. It could have been the destruction of Earth as we knew it. I teamed up with a few other recruits at the time. We were outfitted with special gear and weaponry and tasked with putting down the threat. We were ferried by an underwater vessel and then dropped off in the deepest reaches of the Mariana Trench to begin our mission. But first, a word from our sponsors. This episode of the Extraplanar radio show is sponsored by the Intergalactic Council of Space Scholars. They would like for me to tell you that the stars on the farthest edges of the perpetually expanding universe have started to go out. Not explosions or implosions or anything like that. No, they are simply disappearing entirely, one by one. If you happen to be an amateur astronomer and have noticed this, The Intergalactic Council of Space Scholars would like you to know that they are still studying the phenomenon, but just want you to not worry about it. This in no way means that the entity outside the bounds of the universe has found a way to break through our protective barrier and begin consuming all matter, but simply suggests that something else is going on. Anything else at all is going on, so just don't worry about it. It's probably nothing. I hope the Intergalactic Council of Space Scholars knows I have a community announcements segment that they could have submitted this to for free, and it might have been a bit more relevant, but hey, I will always accept payment to talk. This episode of the Extraplanar radio show is also sponsored by the hive mind known as CRAN. After I cut off their little manifesto broadcast last week, they certainly had some choice words for me. But this is my show after all, so I told them that if they want to spread their message, they are going to have to pay for ad time. And they did. So, here goes. Are you tired of living in a society where the few at the top designate arbitrary rules for your existence that ultimately lead to your suffering? Are you sick of having to decide what to do with your day every day for the rest of your life? Then give the hive mind life a chance. Living with a hive mind can completely erase any suffering that you might experience and effectively will erase your entire personality, memories of your life, and really any semblance of who you were before assimilation at all. Think of it as the ultimate vacation. Your physical form gets to live on, but you are simply relieved of duty. If this sounds like the solution to your problems, then feel free to give ZRAN a ring. You can use your nearest transmitter to beam up your location, and ZRAN will come directly to your planet, star, asteroid, comet, or otherwise, and will infiltrate your society, converting everyone to the hive. Sure beats having to go to work tomorrow. Honestly, I know they sponsored the show and all, but trust me, I've seen the whole hive mind thing in action, and it's really just a novelty for, the first couple 100 years or so, and then after that, it gets a little boring. If I were you, I would just take up a hobby, or find fulfillment in other ways instead. This has been a word from our sponsors. Newly equipped and armored, I and a group of other eager ocean defenders set out to find, contain, and destroy all rogue leviathans in the Mariana Trench. The deviant group was thought to be lurking somewhere in the farthest reaches beyond the Challenger Deep, so we headed in. Contrary to Earthling human belief, the deepest part of the trench actually goes on forever. Its infinite nature is simply hidden from their observation, with a lot of effort from the original humans, of course. I don't know why Earthlings would even want to explore the trench further, since the creatures who have been living there for such a long time tend to be quite abrasive. It's not unusual to be accosted with obscenities and insults while visiting the trench. One time, I even saw a hammerhead void screamer completely devour an acid worm. And that was just over a petty game of chance. If you can imagine, as we headed to the darker recesses of the infinite abyss, we encountered even stranger, fouler beings. Once we were beyond even their domain, there was nothing but the remnants of carnage. Before us lay thousands of decaying carcasses that went on and on, even beyond the veil of endless black at the far limits of our sight. Pile after pile of Leviathan skeletons loomed over us like a system of caverns. All the bones were picked clean, and we realized a horrifying reality. We were not only in a Leviathan graveyard, but whatever killed them had also feasted on their flesh. Given we were told the perpetrators were most likely a rogue Leviathan clan, those carcasses could mean only one thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Creature X. Plenty of cosmic societies and creatures engage in cannibalism as a practice, and we all have simply learned to accept it as one of the many things to expect when living in a rich, expansive, and diverse interstellar society. And yes, you would be correct, but you see, Leviathans do not cannibalize. Like many other interstellar creatures, they believe it is taboo. So, a clan of Leviathans having cannibalized their own meant we were dealing with a group willing to do anything and everything to accomplish their goals. Despite the horrifying revelation, we recovered from our shock quickly and proceeded through the graveyard with stealth and caution. We must have traveled for hours through the never-ending bones, and eventually the Leviathan bodies started showing signs of being fresher. Loose meat dangled from bone scaffolding, and oozing pus leached into the water around us. Then, the sickening sounds of wet, chewing, slurping, and the crunching of bones. Before us, a massive creature, long and slender, like a large worm. It wrapped around a half-eaten Leviathan pup, crushing the beast within its embrace. Nearly the color of black ocean around us, it was hard to discern where the worm entity ended and where it began. Because of this, we did not have an accurate gauge of its size, but one of the more eager members of my group immediately fired an energy ray at it. It was at this point, vibrant colors suddenly climbed up across the creature's flesh, dropping its camouflage. The sudden change in color revealed a terrifying discovery. What we thought to be the creature was simply a tentacle of something much more massive. This was not a rogue Leviathan clan at all. It was one single, mind-bendingly enormous, tentacled monster, like the stories from my roommate at the hostel. This posed a particular problem for me because I happened to have brought earth goldfish with me. This was now incredibly dangerous, so as the monster's limbs shot out from the darkness and pulled up the other group members, I tried to make a run for it. It ripped the spinal column out of one companion and completely crushed another. Before I could escape, it lurched out one wriggling arm towards Earth Goldfish, and I panicked, which I never do, by the way, and I fired my antimatter pistol at it, opening a wound that disintegrated the flesh around it. It still managed to get hold of my physical body, but as I fired more shots and dealt more damage, it finally communicated in my head, offering my freedom in exchange for Earth Goldfish. Obviously, I would never trade my precious companion for instant gratification, so that was simply not an option. However, I promised the creature that I knew where to find a supply of hundreds of goldfish and could bring them instead if it would promise to leave me and my companion alone, and to stop terrorizing the trench. It agreed to my terms and let me go under the condition that I return with more goldfish in 24 hours. Otherwise, it would retaliate. I did not have the energy to actually finish my research on where goldfish could be found, so I did not know how to procure that many in a matter of hours. I also realized I was being extremely selfish and greedy by wanting more goldfish companions for myself. It was the original reason I even came to the trench. How jealous and hurt Earth Goldfish must have been, thinking he wasn't good enough for me. So I left Earth and moved on with a renewed commitment to my companion. I figured there would be other recruits to take care of the monster, but to be honest, I haven't checked on the trench in a long time. I wonder how they're faring. The Earthling human colony is still up and running, so the damage probably wasn't that bad. Anyway, all of this chat about Earth Goldfish has me keen to get started on tracking down Jerry and delivering my vengeance. So, it's time for me to go for now. But tune in next time when we talk about other things.